all of a sudden, all of those waves don't matter so much. They can just come and go and come and go and come and go. And there's just peace. The peace is there, completely independent of the waves. Someone I know said, this is a very high functioning person, actually, and a very intelligent person, smart, sharp person. But he said, I didn't realize for a long time that what I thought was not thinking, I thought I was not having thoughts, but I was actually so scared of a certain thought, I was pushing it away in my mind. I didn't realize I was doing that for a long time. I've heard more than one person say that, including someone who disassociated in a very intense way for many years. The thought he was pushing away, he said, was the thought that says, I have no thoughts. He was so afraid of that pushing it away caused the disassociation and blank mind. You may be trying to push certain thoughts away and not other thoughts. There's a whole genre that's much more popular than anything I talk about of I don't know what you call it. It's kind of like New Age, spirituality. That would say, like, yeah, pick the thoughts that are empowering. Get rid of the negative thoughts. Pick the good emotions. Get rid of the negative. Like we can sort out everything. Like we're just throwing a bunch of stuff into a rubbish bin, and then the good ones we pick out and we highlight them in our experience. That's not really how thoughts work, though, in my experience. They just come and go. And to the degree that you put that much emphasis on the value of an individual thought or a bad thought or a good thought, to the degree you do that or believe that there's that kind of inherent value to thought, that usually suggests how much you're actually pushing and pulling on thought. When we get involved in this business of pushing and pulling on thought, that's actually the way to amplify thought and amplify our attachment to it and amplify our feeling of being pushed around by it. All of that is a result of really believing the thought. So what does it mean to believe a thought? Part of what it means to believe a thought is to believe some thoughts are really dangerous and some thoughts are really good. Like we want to get more of the good ones and less of the bad ones. That's like superstition, right? So it's kind of like, it's superstition. It's the belief, oh, don't think about that. But what happens when you try not to think about something? You think about it more, right? And so then you just get into this cat and mouse game in your own mind. But none of it actually matters. None of it's actually harmful. It's just that the entanglement in it, that dynamic, is uncomfortable inherently. And the more you believe it, the more you believe oh my God, if I have that thought again, and that can become extreme to OCD, right? OCD is such a fear of a certain thought or certain kinds of thoughts that we do everything we can to avoid the thought, including habituated behaviors and so forth, right? So it can become pathological if we have too much fear of thought or too much pushing and pulling on thoughts specifically. But the more you look at it, the more you realize that this is just a random thought generator. The thoughts don't mean anything, really. The more you wake up, the more you realize that you can just move through the world with not paying attention to any thoughts, essentially, and then the thoughts will actually quiet down a lot. And you realize things are fine. They're more than fine. They become more peaceful when you're not up here trying to push on this thought or pull on that thought, or So looking into the beliefs can be helpful. Looking into, do you have a belief that says how you manage what's going on up here is how happy you are or how successful you are? That belief can cost you a lot of struggle. You just realize it doesn't actually matter what goes on up here. And that's really the point of meditation. Well, it's the point of a lot of types of meditation, is to have a more and more neutral relationship with thought, like mantra meditation, for instance. It's just to have a more and more neutral relationship with thought, realizing it doesn't matter what the thought says. It can be the scariest thought, the happiest thought. It's just thought. It's just consciousness, morphing into one wave after another. Don't get entangled in the waves. If you look into the ocean, you're going to see wave after wave after wave. They just go on and on and on and on and on until they're not even emerging from the ocean yet. But they will, right? But one wave may be a happy thought. One's a sad thought. One's an angry thought. One's a weird thought. One's a confusing thought. They're just waves, right? You're the ocean. Consciousness is the ocean. That's why I talk about consciousness all the time. When you recognize the consciousness of the oceanic nature of consciousness, some people feel like it's the oceanic nature of the self. Once that's realized experientially in the moment, and it can happen in one moment, it can happen very quickly or very abruptly even, all of a sudden, all of those waves don't matter so much. They can just come and go and come and go and come and go. And there's just peace. The peace is there, completely independent of the waves, completely independent of the thoughts or the content of the thoughts.